I'm Katie Bentley, Chairman of the Board of Trustees. And on behalf of the board, I would like to welcome you to Newfields 136th annual meeting. For 136 years, this organization has grown alongside families and communities we serve. As our most dedicated supporters, you make this possible. Everything we do at Newfields is rooted in the mission to enrich lives through exceptional experiences with art and nature. And now it is guided by 4 core values of stewardship, inclusivity, service, and excellence. This year, Newfields board and staff members worked together to update our strategic plan to present our work in the context of these 4 values. Today, we come together to celebrate the many ways that we've enriched life in our community in the past year, and how we will continue to do so in the year to come, with a focus on stewardship, inclusivity, service, and excellence. To get us started, I'd like to share just a few of the ways we have diversified and increased the number of guests who have visited Newfields and their engagement with our mission since we gathered last year. As you know, we have been working hard to grow and build cohesive, campus-wide, seasonal experiences to attract a larger and more diverse audience to Newfields. With the second annual running of Winter Lights presented by the Bank of America, we have done just that. This year's experience featured 1.5 million lights. That's 300,000 more than last year. A brand new finale, a magical paper-themed Lily House, and a brand new expanded food and beverage experience called Winter Market. For the first time in our history, we had an astounding 110,000 guests join us during the holiday season. Of those 110,000 guests, 24% had not been here in over a year, and an additional 20% had never stepped foot on this campus at all. Along with members and other guests, Newfields is committed to providing access to underserved families who may not be able to afford tickets to our seasonal programming. Through partnerships with community organizations, we were able to distribute 5,000 complimentary Winter Lights tickets to families from our surrounding neighborhoods. For example, this year we worked closely with the villages to provide complimentary tickets to every foster child and foster family it serves, so they could This allowed them to share the magic of Winter Lights together. One couple used their community Winter Lights tickets to bring their wedding party to Newfields as their reception. We are honored to be the place where so many people mark the important moments in their lives. We can't thank the community enough for welcoming our new tradition, and we can't thank our sponsors enough for making it possible. Bank of America, Winter Lights presenting partner, and so many other generous funders have helped to ensure Winter Lights will continue to shine bright for years to come. Now, for the 3rd year in a row, we have embraced the spring season with Spring Blooms. Presented by Wild Birds Unlimited, this year's Spring Blooms experience boasted more bulbs than ever before in the garden, providing a vibrant sea of 500,000 blooms for our guests to enjoy around every turn during April and May. Spring Blooms continues to grow as a colorful tradition here in central Indiana. This good news shows that not only does our community love breathtaking flowers, but they also want to spend their valuable leisure time at Newfields, and we're very grateful. In late 2017, we unveiled our new 30-year campus master plan. Last month, we announced $21.7 million in grants and gifts to implement the first series of improvements that will make the master plan a reality. Created by David Rubin of Land Collective, the master plan calls for us to leverage all of our resources both inside and out through a cohesive land use plan and programmatic vision. The April announcement served to update community stakeholders and members on priority projects and to recognize their generous gifts. Here are a few highlights from that presentation. Thanks to a $10 million grant from the Richard M. Fairbanks Foundation, we'll complete key infrastructure upgrades and improvements to the Virginia B. Fairbanks Art and Nature Park, 100 acres, throughout the next 10 years. We will also see new outdoor art commissions in Fairbanks Park and the Garden in the coming years, thanks to a $3 million gift from Newfields trustee Kent Harlock. And Lilly Endowment has gifted Newfields with an $8 million grant to help us create increased capacity for everyday visits by supporting the infrastructure needed to host more guests and launch new seasonal programming, starting with the new Harvest Festival happening this year from October 3rd and to October 5th. So please mark your calendars. You don't want to miss it. Our community deserves and wants life-enhancing experiences, and these generous funders have moved us closer to enriching lives in every season, every day. You may have noticed some construction going on as you arrived this evening as master plan projects begin to take shape across the campus. The parking garden, which will add 200 parking places for our guests, is already underway. You'll soon see progress on a multimodal path around Newfields to make travel for cyclists and pedestrians safer and more enjoyable. And as summer progresses, the growth of flowers in the pollinator meadow will enhance the restored view from Lily Terrace. Today, I have the honor of announcing several deeply meaningful new gifts by or in memory of Newfields leadership, past and present. First, I would like to thank Nora and Tom Hyatt for their marvelous generosity as they recently made a gift of $1.5 million to endow the key position of Director of Horticulture. Through their families, Tom and Nora have been tied to Newfields and the IMA for decades. During Tom's chair as Board of Trustees, Newfields conducted a series of studies designed to help the organization chart a course toward a vibrant future with a broader and more engaged audience and ongoing financial stability. These studies included extensive market research indicating that the Garden of Newfields attracts as many visitors to its campus as its galleries. With this insight, the Hyatts knew that investing in the garden could have a great impact on the future of the organization. By endowing the position of Director of Horticulture, Tom and Nora hope to ensure that Newfields can continue to attract and retain the strongest possible leadership in both the gardens and the galleries. With their gift, they also wish to recognize the leadership and contributions of Chad Frainer, who is currently in that position. Chad has enthusiastically shared his love and his deep knowledge of plants with Newfields guests for the past 20 years. We hope he will continue to do so for many years to come. I am also pleased to announce a generous commitment from the Glick Family Foundation and David and Jackie Barrett personally. Their combined $1.5 million philanthropic investment will fund the restoration of the historic Oldfields Fountain, which will be named the Glick Family Fountain. This gift will have the transformational impact on the institution by allowing Newfields to attract a larger and more diverse audience to this iconic area of the Newfields campus. It will also allow the Glick Family Fountain to feature a major glass commission that will link visitors to the Glick glass collection within the Indianapolis Museum of Art, giving the collection greater community exposure and impact. I also have the pleasure of thanking Alan Whitehill Clowes Charitable Foundation for their generous gift in memory of Anna S. White, who dedicated more than 30 years of service to Newfields and was a life trustee and a chairwoman of the board. Anna's legacy will continue with the establishment of the Anna S. White Endowed Fund for Contemporary Art, created in partnership with the Allen Whitehill Clowes Charitable Foundation and Anna's husband, Jim White. Thanks to this fund, visitors to Newfields will be able to enjoy lectures, conversations, and exhibitions representing different aspects and viewpoints of contemporary art, and curators will benefit from research, travel, and scholarship. And finally, I want to take this opportunity to share some news about a special gift commitment from Newfields Melvin and Bren Simon director and CEO Charles Venable and his husband Martin Webb. As the number of visitors to our campus increases each year, the need for amenities that maximize the visitor experience increases with it. And since we all know there's no amenity more important, Charles and Martin have made a generous gift to create the Venable Webb Pump House restroom. For your convenience, these new restrooms will be located just outside the garden terrace, home to the new culinary art program. Thank you, Charles and Martin. And now I would like to thank several groups of dedicated leaders for their contributions, time, intelligence, and passion to Newfields. Please hold your applause for just a moment until we recognize the following individuals, and there are many. To begin with, I am pleased to recognize our newest group, the Board of Governors, which was created by our Board of Trustees last year. A new and innovative board model, this energetic group is comprised of community leaders from diverse backgrounds, carefully selected for their high levels of civic engagement. While associate boards are fairly common, an associate board with true connectivity and partnership with the governing board is distinctive. Only a few other U.S. museums use this model, and it is unique in Indianapolis. The Board of Governors works collaboratively with the Board of Trustees to achieve strategic initiatives. They are charged with enhancing Newfields' ability to make meaningful connections within the civic and corporate community and to build a new model for engagement and volunteer leadership. Special thanks go to Gary Butkus and Lily Pye, who are serving as the first chair and vice chair of the Board of Governors, respectively. Next, we owe our gratitude to the individuals who have served as chairs of board committees. Your leadership has helped to move Newfields forward in countless ways, and your hard work is truly appreciated. Next, we want to thank all those individuals who have served on these board committees. We're grateful to each and every one of you for sharing your time and talents with Newfields. We owe another special thank you to the individuals who served as chairs of our affiliate groups. Throughout the year, these special volunteers and donors bring our campus-wide program to life with their support and creativity. Your leadership is appreciated. Last, I want to thank Tom Hyatt, Kay Cook, and Howard Schrott, who are rotating off the Board of Trustees this year. Through dedication, leadership, and generosity, these outstanding individuals have provided exceptional service to our institution. Would all of you whom I have named please stand and be recognized? Now please join me in welcoming to the stage our Board of Trustees Treasurer, Michael Kubacki, who will give the financial report.
Whoa, don't worry, I'll be brief here. That is not art. But I am happy to report that the current fiscal year has been one of much success. Over the past several years, we have focused on growing, as you know, we have focused on growing Newfields while becoming more financially sustainable. Our focus on growth can be seen in visitation to our extraordinary campus. Overall, more than 400,000 people visited Newfields, including the museum, the garden, and the Virginia B. Fairbanks Art and Nature Park this fiscal year. General admission attendance, which accounts for about half of our annual visitors, has grown significantly from approximately 125,000 in fiscal year 2017 to more than 230,000 in the current year. That is a growth of 84% over the course of only 2 years. And as a result of engaging with more people in our community, annual earned revenue growth has gone to more than $6 million. This is a growth of almost $2.5 million from 2 years ago. That's a much prettier picture, I think. I am proud to report that the Board of Trustees of Newfields has adopted for the fiscal year 2020 budget one that would result in a 5.49% draw on the endowment. We have also reviewed a fiscal year 2021 budget that would reduce the draw to 4.99%, following through on Newfields' commitment to continued financial sustainability. This budget keeps us on track to reduce our endowment draw rate to below 4.5% by fiscal 2023. Our focus on increasing earned revenue and continued restraint on operating expenses are the driving forces behind the improved financials and will help to ensure Newfields' ability to provide exceptional art and nature experiences to residents of Central Indiana and visitors alike. I am very privileged to provide this positive financial report and thank you for your continued support of Newfields. Now please welcome Tom Hyatt, Chair of the Nominating and Governance Committee.
I'd like to suggest that we depart from the script just for a moment and thank Katie Betley for outstanding leadership as our current board chair. I'm Tom Hyatt, Chair of the Nominating and Governance Committee of the Board of Trustees, and I'd like to take a brief moment to thank all the members of the committee for their thoughtful contributions to the discussions that the committee has had during the past year. We have a little bit of boring business to get out of the way before we get on to the more exciting stuff, so bear with me. Our first item of business is to adopt the amended and restated Articles of Incorporation. This amendment was unanimously recommended by the board's Nominating and Governance Committee, as well as the Board of Trustees. There are two primary changes being put forward to the proposed amendment. The first modification is to change the name of our primary governing body from the Board of Governors to the Board of Trustees. We believe this change more closely aligns the name of Newfields' governing body with the most commonly used practices in board governance. And to make it more confusing, the second and more significant change is the establishment of a new advisory board called the Board of Governors, which Katie referred to in her presentation. The purpose of the new board, as Katie mentioned, is to engage a broader, dedicated group of volunteers who can bring their experience and insights to Newfields. This group includes this group also constitutes a pool of leadership talent from which future trustees may be drawn. Informally, Newfields has been using the new names for the past year, and if you approve, this amendment will officially align our organization's governing documents with current practices. The Nominating and Governance Committee of the Board and the full board have reviewed these changes and recommend the approval of the amended and restated Articles of Incorporation. Only the members of the Board of Trustees and the Life Trustees will be voting on this amendment. As chair of the Nominating and Governance Committee, I move to adopt the amended and restated Articles of Incorporation. May I ask for a second? Thank you. From a member of the Board of Trustees. And for the minutes, sir, will you identify yourself? Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And any opposed, the same sign. Thank you. The motion passes. Now on to more compelling topics. Our next order of business is to renominate 7 trustees whose terms of office expire at today's meeting to succeed themselves for an additional 3-year term. The trustees are Tony Bader, Catherine Betley, Darianne Christian, Pete Morse, Dr. Michael Robertson, Sharon Rogers, and Dan Yates. With the unanimous support of the Board of Trustees, the Nominating and Governance Committee is also pleased to nominate 3 new trustees for your consideration at this meeting. If elected, these trustees will also serve for 3-year terms. The new trustees are Nancy Carpenter. Nancy is currently a member of the Newfields Horticulture and Natural Resources Committee. She is passionate about nature, conservation, and art. She and her husband Jim founded and own Wild Birds Unlimited, a national enterprise that started as a single store in Broad Ripple. Nancy, a former science teacher at Park Tudor, also serves as a Starfish Initiative mentor to high school students here at Newfields. In addition, she's engaged with several other nonprofit organizations, including the Indiana chapter of the Nature Conservancy and Blackfeet at Heart in Montana. Nancy and Jim and Wild Birds Unlimited are presenting sponsors of the 2019 Spring Blooms Experience. The next new nominee is Otto Frenzel IV. For the past 20 years, Otto Frenzel has served as chairman of Kaufman Engineering, Inc. in Lebanon, Indiana. Otto, who spent 3 years as an officer in the U.S. Marine Corps, also serves on the Indiana War Memorials Foundation and the Crown Hill Heritage Foundation. Otto is a former president of the Penrod Arts Fair and has been involved with Newfields since 1996. He's a dedicated supporter of the Conservation Science Lab. The third nominee is Sarah Licklider. Sarah has been a Newfields member and patron for more than 3 decades. She serves on the boards of the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra and the Indiana Repertory Theater. She was a founding member and former chair of 2 groups supporting the important work of the United Way of Central Indiana, Women United and Women of de Tocqueville. She and her husband, John, have been deeply involved in the United Way's efforts to strengthen early childhood education and to support families. In 2017, Governor Holcomb honored Sarah and John with the state's highest honor, a Sagamore of the Wabash. On behalf of the Nominating and Governance Committee, I move that the 7 current trustees standing for re-election to the Board of Trustees for a 3-year term, which will expire at the annual meeting in 2022, be re-elected. And I move that the 3 new nominees to the Board of Trustees be elected for a 3-year term, also to expire at the annual meeting in 2022. Please note that only the members of the Board of Trustees and Life Trustees are eligible to vote on this matter. Will the trustee seconding the nomination this time please identify yourself for the official record of these proceedings? A second? Thank you. Thank you very much. It has to be a trustee, unfortunately, Tim, a current trustee. Thank you. Well, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. As well as any opposed, please signify with the same sign. Thank you. The motion carries. At this time, I would like to invite both the re-elected trustees as well as the new trustees to stand and be recognized. I'd now like to welcome Katie Bentley back to the stage to introduce the recipients of this year's Distinguished Service Award, which recognizes volunteer leaders for their singular contributions to Newfields over the course of their lifetimes. Katie?
Hello again. It is really with true pleasure to have the opportunity to recognize two long-term members of Newfields family and present them with our highest honor, the Distinguished Service Award. Lori Ephraimson Aguilera and Sergio Aguilera's commitment to this community has been felt for years and will be felt for generations to come. Please take a moment as we recognize Lori and Sergio with a video.
It gives me special pleasure to announce that the committee has selected Lori Ephraimson Aguilera and Sergio Aguilera as a recipient of this year's Distinguished Service Award. Lori has been involved with Newfields for more than 4 decades, and Sergio for more than 2. Lori began her service as a member of the Board of Governors in 1985 and served 3 terms until 1993. Sergio has started his term on the Board of Governors in 2008 and continued to serve until 2016.
One of my first things that I did when I volunteered here, I was on the collections committee.
You get to do something important. Museums always need volunteers.
There's a lot of respect for Lori and Sergio in this community. And when you respect somebody, you pay attention to what they do and what they support.
What Sergio and Lori have done is provide a space and the means for contemporary artists to experiment and for their bold works to welcome patrons to Newfields.
It's that first moment you come in, you say, I'm where I should be. I like the Richard Wentworth. They asked people from the community, and they brought books that became part of the artwork. Then students, I believe, from Heron helped put it up, so it's a community activity.
Philanthropy is a family value to them. It is something that I think they are passing down to other generations, and that it's the welfare of others that is important to them.
It was the funding from Ardex which allowed us first to begin combining food and culinary experiences with art education. It was funding from Ardex which allowed us to begin to experiment with programs to attract new audiences and more diverse audiences. And finally, it was funding from Ardex which gave birth to the vision of what Newfields is in the process of becoming, a campus which is a magnet for people who want to experience art in a number of ways.
What I think of it is what it means to the community. And their commitment has been great, and it's had an impact. And so I translate it more into what it does for the world in general.
My family came in the past few years. We went through the galleries first, and then we played miniature golf, see? So it was just super fun. And I think that's what's really nice about it is it appeals to a different group of people, and it's fun, and you can relax.
The one that I remember particularly that I enjoyed was the Monster Drawing Rally. That was really fun, seeing so many local artists participating.
I sort of think the future is here, and keeping up with all of that, whether it's technology, whatever it is, that's what museums and Newfields and places have to do. And the plans are sensational. And as the city grows, there's going to be less green space and open space, and this place is going to become more important because you have 152 acres.
It's not an exaggeration to say that through their generosity, Lori and Sergio have defined the vision of the institution for the next decade. This award recognizes Lori and Sergio for their exemplary service, for their leadership, and for their unparalleled generosity.
Lori, Sergio, please join me on the stage to receive your Distinguished Service Awards. That was the picture. Say a few words.
Thank you very much for this wonderful honor. We appreciate it, and it means a lot to us.
Again, thank you so much. It has been really a pleasure to do what we did. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie and Tom, and thank you, Lori and Sergio, for your exceptional service. I'm Charles Venable, the Melvin and Brent Simon Director and CEO, and I can emphatically say that it is committed leaders like you who have, for 136 years, ensured that our community has a dynamic art museum filled with great works of art by artists from around the world, a beautifully cultivated garden in the heart of Indianapolis, a theater to explore performances and the ideas of our time, historic homes for telling stories about our shared histories, and a 100-acre art and nature park to strengthen our connection with the environment, all on a single campus, unlike anywhere else. Since you heard from Katie Betley about many projects and programs going on in our garden and our park, I'll devote my director's remark to many of the exciting things happening at the Indianapolis Museum of Art at Newfields, especially exhibitions. All great exhibitions begin with a great vision, and I'm proud to share that we have expanded our curatorial department this year, welcoming 3 exceptional individuals to our curatorial ranks who are already bringing thought-provoking exhibitions to Indianapolis. During the past year, Dr. Kelly Morgan was promoted from a fellow to Associate Curator of American Art. Anna Stein was appointed our Assistant Curator of Works on Paper, and Dr. Michael Vetter became our Assistant Curator of Contemporary Art. Please help me welcome these 3 talented individuals. To build on recent successes, our goal is to continue to increase the number and quality of experiences that guests can enjoy across the Newfields campus. To accomplish this goal, we must have dynamic leaders who can envision, organize, and facilitate many events and experiences, such as our beloved film program, Summer Nights, technology that encourages guests to engage with art, innovative art-infused education classes, and dynamic ways to delight the senses at the intersection of art and nature. It is my pleasure to work with such passionate people who are dedicated to making all these things and more happen at Newfields for our community. After I read their names, please join me in congratulating these colleagues who are now in their new positions. Lindsay Hammond, Director of Public Programming. Tasha Horowitz, Director of Interpretation, Media, and Publishing. Susan Martis, Director of Education, and Josh Ratliff, Director of Culinary Art. And at the senior level of any dynamic organization are dynamic leaders. And I'm delighted to announce that Jonathan Berger was recently named the Deputy Director of Marketing and External Affairs. While serving as interim deputy director of this area for 6 months, Jonathan aptly demonstrated that he can continue to strengthen the Newfields brand, as well as increase awareness of exhibitions and large-scale seasonal events like Winter Lights and Spring Blooms. Jonathan brings to Newfields extensive experience in design, marketing, and brand management. During his career, he has managed a large portfolio of global brands, including Schwinn, Mongoose, Walt Disney, and Eddie Bauer. Please join me in congratulating Jonathan on his new post. The past year was a very good one for art acquisitions here at the IMA. Over the years, we have acquired important pieces of monumental sculpture, including Robert Indiana's Numbers and Love. While we do not seek to build a large collection of exceedingly large works because of their scale, occasionally the opportunity arises to add another key monumental work to our collection. This has happened recently with Fletcher Benton's powerful Folded Circle Phase 3, which was created in 1973. Benton is an important 20th century American sculptor, and Folded Circle is considered a pivotal work in his long career. It represents the moment when he began moving away from small kinetic pieces toward minimalist sculpture based on pure geometry. Folded Circle, which stands about 15 feet tall, is the irrevocable promised gift of John and Molly Ott, and its conservation and installation is being generously supported by the Alliance. The sculpture is currently being conserved and will be installed, we believe, early next year in the Pulliam Family Great Hall. Another high point during 2018 was the gift of the Stephen Sprouse Fashion Collection and Archives to the IMA. Sprouse was born in Ohio, but raised in Columbus, Indiana, becoming one of America's most innovative and influential fashion designers during the 1980s and 90s. After much, and I will repeat, much conversation with our curator of textile and fashion, Nilu Paydar, and an occasional trip to Michigan by Tom Hyatt to see her as well, Mrs. Joanne Sprouse, Stephen's mother, chose to entrust the IMA with her son's entire legacy rather than a rival institution in New York City. While the Sprouse Collection and Archives is primarily composed of garments and design drawings, it also contains several exceptional works of, shall we say, flat art, including 2 wonderful portraits of Sprouse painted by his good friend Andy Warhol, one of which you see on the screen. The portrait seen on the screen is currently traveling in the exhibition Andy Warhol From A to B and Back Again, which debuted at the Whitney Museum of American Art in New York earlier this year and is now at the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. It will be followed in its exhibition at the Art Institute of Chicago, so you might be able to see this portrait that we now own in Chicago before it comes home permanently to Indianapolis. An exhibition of selected garments and drawings from the Sprouse collection, organized by Nilu Paydar, will debut here in the Gerald and Dorrit Paul Galleries for Fashion in the spring of 2021. Another coup for Newfields this year was the gift of 131 important design objects from the collection of the late George R. Kravis II, a businessman, philanthropist, and radio broadcasting pioneer from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Since 2012, until George's unfortunate death in February 2018, IMA curatorial staff and I, as director, were involved with Kravis because of our mutual interest in modern and contemporary design. George was especially fond of the IMA and often mentioned the fact that his mother was born in Muncie, Indiana. Upon his passing, and in honor of his philanthropic spirit and interest, George's estate chose to distribute major objects from his collection to several important museums nationwide. As you can see from the sample of design objects on the screen, we're very proud to be amongst those great museums. The introduction of these new gifts to the IMA Gallery has actually already begun. For example, 4 gifts of silver from George Kravis are featured in Dining by Design, an installation located on the 2nd floor of Lilly House. And next month, more gifts, including the Ushida Dear Morris clock seen in the middle of this slide, will enter the design gallery for a focused display of Japanese contemporary design. Now let's take a look into the exhibitions that are currently on display in the IMA galleries. Life and Legacy Portraits from the Clowes collection is now on view in the Allen Whitehill Clowes Special Exhibition Gallery and explores the lives and art collection of Dr. George H.A. Clowes and Edith Whitehill Clowes, who were 2 of the IMA's greatest benefactors between 1930 and 1970. Following their deaths, the Clowes Fund continued their support of this great institution, as it does to this very day. The exhibition features many of the IMA's most beloved paintings, including Rembrandt's self-portrait, painted when he was just 23 years old. Through such paintings, guests will learn about the development of portraiture as a specific art form over the course of 400 years of European history. Life and Legacy is curated by Dr. Shel Wagenstein, Assistant Curator of European Art, and will be open through August 18, 2019. It's always a joy for me to continue to occasionally curate an exhibition. Not that I really have time to, but I make up time, I suppose, to do that occasionally. And I was particularly delighted to be able to curate a show inside the Lilly House, where guests can walk through a different kind of history. There, the exhibition Dining by Design, Silver, 1925 to 2000, shows how casual dining and the advent of the all-important and maybe all-consuming cocktail party changed the silverware industry and all of our lives truly forever. Meanwhile, I'm sure you've all seen our newest installation in the Ephraimson Family Entrance Pavilion. This large-scale kinetic sculpture entitled Meadow is by Amsterdam-based art and design collective Studio Drift. This contemporary installation is comprised of an upside-down landscape, so to speak, of 18 mechanical blossoms that open and close in response to you, the visitors, passing beneath them. In this case, you are the sun. The work's appearance at the IMA marks the very first time that it has been shown ever in the United States. Meadow is curated by Shelley Salem, Associate Curator of Design and Decorative Arts, and will be on view through February 23rd, 2020. Simultaneously, up on the 4th floor, you can explore the work of Indianapolis-based artist Samuel Levi Jones through the exhibition Samuel Levi Jones Left of Center. This exhibition marks Jones's first major museum debut. In this thought-provoking exhibition, he provides visual commentary on the nature of American power structures, particularly those that substantiate our education system, criminal justice system, and healthcare system, as well as the American historical narrative overall. Jones points out through his work, in which he deconstructs foundational materials like encyclopedias, medical books, law text, and even art history text, how such power structures can actually be oppressive to large numbers of people in the United States by transforming all of that material into, as you can see, beautiful works of art. Featured in the show is a special work by Jones called Untitled, which you see here on the right of this image. It's made entirely from art books from Newfields' reference library. This commission was funded, they were duplicates, by the way, we didn't just take them all off the shelf. The commission was funded by our very own Contemporary Art Society. Samuel Levi Jones' Left of Center is curated by Dr. Kelly Morgan, Associate Curator of American Art, and Bryn Jackson, Assistant Curator of Audience Engagement and Performance, and will be on view through September 1st of this year. From Japanese paintings and samurai swords to groundbreaking fashion designs, Seasons of Japan celebrates one of the world's greatest art-producing cultures as never before here at Newfields. Beginning in September of last year and going through the remainder of 2019, we're celebrating Japan with 9 wonderful exhibitions and a host of other experiences. Hopefully, you had a chance to attend our 4th annual orchid display this past February. For the first time ever, this year's exhibition featured many Japanese orchids and expanded into the IMA galleries, as you can see in this slide from our European galleries. These installations were curated by members of our fabulous horticultural team, which by name are Ian Wilhite, Sue Nord-Pfeiffer, and Marion Keith, all who did an extraordinary job working inside the galleries with all of this incredibly delicate plant material. To connect all of these exciting exhibitions, we created an immersive and interactive exhibition inside the Davis Lab on floor 2. This fun, mesmerizing installation was created by a cross-department team to introduce guests to the 4 seasons of Japanese landscape. This multi-sensory exhibition features an interactive projection of Taika's Poem for the 12 Months as a living painting narrated by our very own John Teramoto, curator of Asian art. Guests can use a touchscreen to trigger poetry readings and surprising animations and sounds, such as birds chirping, snow falling, and boats being rowed, all visible on this fabulous screen in our collection. At the top of the escalators leading to the IMA galleries is the first of a series of seasonal food and beverage concepts that bring the culinary arts closer in subject and physical proximity to the galleries and their treasure trove of art. The pop-up tea house features an array of blooming distilled brewed, meaning alcoholic, and traditional teas. You need to run, though, not walk there, because Tea House on June 1st is becoming Pop-Up Noodle Shop. In the same way, this second pop-up will celebrate another iconic Japanese food, ramen. But in keeping with the IMA's high standards of connoisseurship, the Noodle Shop will offer a curated noodle and broth experience, using locally sourced Indiana ingredients to extend your understanding of Japanese art and culture. Noodle Shop, which I might add, probably can only happen at a place called Newfields, was brought to fruition by Joseph Josh Ratliff, Director of Culinary Art, and will, after it opens, will be up till August 31st later this year. Also woven into the seasons of Japan is Fashion Redefined, Miyaki Kawakubo Yamamoto. This exhibition allows you to explore Japanese culture through contemporary fashion that celebrates the lasting legacies of these Japanese designers and their impact on the world of fashion over the last 40 years. Fashion Redefined is curated by Nilu Paydar, Curator of Textiles and Fashion Arts, and will be on view through January 5th of next year. The Japanese word Nihonto means sword, but describes much more than a sword blade. This samurai exhibition opened earlier this month and explores the artistry, design, and historical development of this remarkable art form of the lethal weapon. Many of the swords and fittings in this exhibition have never been on public display and are certified in Japan at the highest rank of national treasures. Nihonto is curated by John Teramoto, our Curator of Asian Art, and will be on view through November 17th this fall. Outside In, the art and craft of William S. Rice, meanwhile explores the evocative landscapes of one of America's finest printmakers and art educators, William S. Rice. Rice's vivid landscapes of the western part of the United States were inspired by the artist's admiration of Japanese woodblock prints and prove Rice to be a multi-talented artist of the American arts and crafts era. Many of the 41 works on display were made available exclusively for this exhibition by the artist's family. We are especially grateful to Ellen Sexauer and our own emeritus curator, Marty Krause, for making this exhibition possible. The show will be on view in the Susan and Charles Golden Galleries from June 7th through December 1st of this year. Also, in the Catherine and Dan Appel Galleries, the exhibition 47 Ronin, A Tale of Honor and Loyalty, opens July 19th and examines one of the most popular tales of vengeance and loyalty in Japan. The show uses woodblock prints from the IMA's collection to explore the ancient story of a group of 47 leaderless samurai called Ronin who killed a government official that they blamed for the death of their lord. It's a common emotion amongst many of us, probably. These prints illustrate the main and side stories, exploring why this particular tale of murder, intrigue, and vengeance was and still is so popular in modern Japan. 47 Ronin is, as you can imagine, curated by John Teramoto, who's been a very busy man of late, it seems like, and will be on view until November 17th. Upstairs in the June M. McCormick Forefront Galleries, another Japanese experience will unfold this coming fall when Newfields unveils Kusama's Infinity Room, all the eternal love I have for the pumpkins. As a pioneer in immersive experiences with art, Kusama's work consists of a small mirrored room filled with acrylic pumpkins. But as you can see from this image, the experience creates the illusion of being surrounded by an infinity of pumpkins, which will, no doubt, inspire especially artistic pumpkin pies for Thanksgiving, as well as provide you and your kids' and grandkids' favorite Instagram post right here from Newfields this fall. Infinitely Kusama, as we call this exhibition, is curated by our new curator of contemporary art, Dr. Michael Vetter, and will be on display from October 4th through March 29th up in the McCormick Galleries. Capping off our Seasons of Japan celebration this fall will be a Brush with Beauty, Japanese paintings in ink, color, and gold, which will open on October 26th and be on view until January 26th of 2020. This major exhibition, curated by John Teramoto, will showcase the brilliance of Japanese painting over 700 years, featuring signature pictures by artists from all major Japanese schools. It will also draw attention to the fact that the IMA has one of the finest collections of Japanese paintings outside the island nation. In addition, it is my great pleasure to tell you that this exhibition is the first to be supported by the recently created Jan B. Rubin Art Exhibition Fund. This new endowment fund was established by her devoted husband, George Rubin, and their daughters last year to celebrate Jan's longtime service as an IMA docent and to promote her lifelong commitment to enhance well-being through encounters with art. Beyond exhibitions, we've had many exciting updates and announcements that I just want to share a few of you with in closing. As you may have noticed, the Clowes Pavilion is temporarily closed. Thanks to $3 million in grants from the Clowes Fund and the Allen Whitehill Clowes Charitable Foundation, the pavilion is being modernized to more successfully engage with today's audiences through new lighting and infrastructure for interactive and digital media experiences, as well as making the collection look amazingly better than it has of late. After all of this is done, the pavilion will reopen in the fall of 2021. It's a big project, so it takes a little time. Alongside the Clowes Gallery renovation, we are working to restore one of the crown jewels of the Clowes collection, a tapestry entitled The Miraculous Draught of Fishes that was woven after design by the great Italian Renaissance master, Raphael. This tapestry is the single most important artwork of its kind in any Midwestern art museum. This restoration project is made possible in part by a gift from the Clowes Fund in honor of longtime President William Marshall, who is retiring after more than 30 years of service to the fund. At the other end of the art spectrum, as Katie mentioned in her remarks, is the art commissioning program being put in place by longtime supporter and Newfields trustee Kent Harlick. Through Kent's generosity, an endowment to fund contemporary sculpture projects for Fairbanks Park and the Garden has been established. Over time, this program will result in new temporary art installations across the campus and periodically permanent sculptures, which will be known collectively as the Harlick Collection of Art in Nature Commissions. In association with Kent, who is a fabulous travel companion, I might add, this program was designed based on inspiration drawn from innovative, world-important institutions like the Vanus Estate in Sweden, the Louisiana Museum of Contemporary Art in Copenhagen, and the Kroller-Müller Museum in Otterloo, the Netherlands. I will conclude this year's annual meeting with an exciting look at next year's highlight in the IMA's gallery. Today, we are pleased to announce that in 2020, we will be one of the only 2 art museums in the nation to host the exhibition Edward Hopper and the American Hotel. This exhibition will demonstrate how Hopper's art was shaped by his fascination with transitory spaces, especially hotels, motels, and other lodging places in the early formative years of American travel culture. Guests will learn how 20th century Americans participated in the boom in travel and hospitality culture, including road trips, landscape tourism, and leisure activities, while entering Hopper's very personal relationship with spaces that can include emotions ranging from loneliness to ecstasy. And of course, one of the IMA's most famous masterpieces, Hopper's Hotel Lobby, will be the superstar of the show. Edward Hopper in the American Hotel is curated at the IMA by Anna Stein, Assistant Curator of Works on Paper, and will be on display from June 7th through September 14th of 2020. So as we often do at a great hotel, let's go up to the bar in Pulliam Family Great Hall and lift a glass to the many successes of Newfields during the past year and to the exciting year of art and nature to come. Thank you for your support.